I know I wrote a book, right? It's called Buy a Game, and it's free. Click the link down there, you got it.
DreAllDay.com.
As I get my proof, I make sure everything's straight. I approve it, then it'll be available for sale right there on Amazon.com. You'll just look up Dre Philosophy Volume 0. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about today is Friday. Not just because it is Friday. I heard this story that 50 Cent told this story once. Y'all know 50 Cent, the rapper, and he got caught selling drugs. A couple of times he got caught selling drugs, and once when he had got caught, you know, he goes to court, and he from the hood, he ain't have no lawyer, so they gave him a public defender, and the public defender said to him, look, back then it was Curtis, his name's Curtis, he's like, look, check this out, since you got caught with such a small amount of drugs, this is what we can do. We can go to the judge and just say, since it was such a small amount, why don't we just send him to a program for people who are using drugs, not people who are selling drugs? Because if he would have got the selling drugs charge, it would have been years in jail. But the using drugs charge, because he got caught with such a small amount, he had to go to like a rehab facility, like a 12-week rehab program or whatever amount of time it was, a rehab program. But the stipulation from the judge was like, look, I know you ain't no drug user, you're a drug dealer, but since it's your first offense and it was a small amount, I'm going to go with what your lawyer proposed, and I'm going to send you to this rehab facility for 6 months or 9 months, whatever it happened to be. The only stipulation is, he said to 50, you got to follow the whole program like just as if you were a drug user. You got to do everything they say do. You got to go to all the meetings. You got to participate fully. And you got to show that you're actually learning something from this, because what you can learn, since you're a dealer, you can learn what happens to the people you're actually selling drugs to. So hopefully this reforms you and makes you into a better person afterwards. And 50 always jokes now that he's a success story of the penitentiary system, because he never went back into the system and he became a successful, entrepreneur. But anyway, what he says in the story is that when he went to this rehab facility every week, I don't know if any of you ever been to AA or a drug rehab program. I've never been. But what he says is that every certain days they would have like a meeting where everybody sits in a circle, you stand up, and he would say, hi, my name is Curtis and I'm an addict. And everybody would say, hi, Curtis. And then he would give his little story, whatever it was. And he would tell his story, how he was selling drugs, why he was selling drugs. Everybody else would get around and tell their story. And the way that these meetings worked, according to 50, according to his story, is that when you give your little testimonial, people are allowed to give comments on your testimonial. So they can say what they think about your story. They can say if they like it, if they dislike it. They got something to say about you personally. And a lot of the people in that rehab facility weren't really happy that 50 was in there, because they were like, y'all the ones who are selling drugs, y'all the ones who are giving it to us, that made us start using it. Y'all just trying to come up off of our destruction, and you see what you're doing to us. And they would say negative things to him that he didn't really like. But the way that the program was set up was that if the meeting was on Tuesday and somebody said something about you in that circle that you didn't like, you weren't allowed to respond to anything anybody said to you. You could not respond. You had to stay completely under control your emotions, and not say anything back. If you said something back, you were violating the rules of the way the thing ran. And 50 knew if he violated the rules, and the people that worked at that facility said, hey, this guy's not listening, they would have sent him to jail. He would have had to do the actual time that he should have got for selling drugs. So he couldn't say nothing back until Friday. On Friday was when he was allowed to respond to what people said to him, and he couldn't beat them up or nothing, because again, that would have been a violation. And he said over time, what he learned in that program was how to control his emotions. He learned emotional control in that program, because he wasn't allowed to respond on Tuesday when somebody says something disrespectful on Tuesday. He had to control his emotions and channel his anger, and he couldn't do anything or say anything until Friday. What does that have to do with everybody here? Even if you're not a drug dealer or a drug user, and you're not in a rehabilitation program, it means this: the emotional control that you have to learn, the emotional control that comes with delayed gratification. See, it's gratifying to respond to somebody who says something to you that you don't like, right? You ever had somebody say something to you that you didn't like, and for whatever reason you couldn't respond in the moment? That's hard. We get mad because we can't say something back. When we can respond immediately to something that somebody says, like if somebody make a comment and I see it and I want to respond, I can respond immediately. That's instant gratification. But delayed gratification requires some emotional control, emotional management. And one of the things 50 talks about in his book, The 50th Law, the book that he wrote with Robert Greene, was that you got to learn how to control boredom. Any of you ever have a boring day, a day where things just not It's not a lot of exciting things happening. You're working, but it's not exciting. You're not getting any big result. There's no big news to report, but you are still working and there's nothing exciting happening. Maybe you might see somebody you know or somebody you heard of. They got something exciting to happen, and this person has something exciting, and you know something exciting happened last week, and maybe something will happen in 6 months, but there's nothing happening today. It's just that boredom. The way that you're able to deal with that boredom and work through that boredom while still doing your job the way you're supposed to do it, still bringing your focus, controlling your emotions, emotional management, managing that delayed gratification, will determine how far you get when it comes to your success in that thing. Because we all know that to be successful in anything is not a one-day thing. It's not an overnight. It's not a 1 week, 1 month, not even 1 year. You got to consistently put forth the effort every single day, working on something, even when you're not seeing any results. It's kind of like when you plant a tree. It's one of these trees, I think it's the redwood tree or some bamboo tree. You water the tree every day, or it gets watered, it sits there in the dirt for like 7 years, and you never see not even one little sprout come out of the ground. And then in year number 8, it grows like 20 feet in 1 year. But most people never get to the point of their success growing 20 feet in 1 year because they quit before they get to year number 8. They go through year number 1. Some people go through day number 1. They don't see a result. They quit. Some people maybe a month. Some people a year. Some people a week. Some people quit before they even plant the seed. They don't even plant the seed. They're like, listen, guarantee me when the tree's going to grow, and then I'll plant the seed. It doesn't work like that. You don't get a guarantee of rewards before you do the work. All of you know that, right? The emotional management you get from what I'm explaining here Friday. Thank you, everybody tapping the screen for the hearts. That emotional management, managing your boredom, managing your emotional states, will determine how you're able to reach success. And then once you reach success, how long you can hold on to it. Because the more successful you get, listen, that don't mean the end of your problems. That's the beginning of problems. The more success you create, the more things you produce, the more problems you got. Because there's more people around, more attention on you, more demands on your time, more demands on your effort, more skills you're going to need, more things you have to manage. Listen, there's just more stuff to do the more successful you get. Can I take any questions? Anybody got a question? I'll take a couple questions. This is Dre All Day, y'all talking to, live from South Florida. My TED Talk is out. If you go to my website, dreallday.com, you'll see it. You can see photos too. You want to see photos from the event? Go to dreallday.com. Right there on the main page, the TED Talk is up there so everybody can see it. You got a lot? Go ahead, post a question. I'll take it if you got one. Y'all got to be quick though. Thank you for everybody who watched and appreciated the TED Talk. If you hit the thumbs up on the TED Talk, I appreciate it. If you shared it, I appreciate it. I didn't even put it out to everybody yet. I'm going to put it out probably on Monday because today's Friday. Friday's like the slowest day on social media. So I'm going to make sure everybody knows about it on Monday. I'll send it out to my mailing list, all my social media platforms, this, that, and the third. Maybe I'll do a Periscope stream talking about it. How do you stay positive in life? That's a very deep question. One thing you could do is read my book called The Mirror of Motivation. Then you could read another book I wrote called The Mental Handbook. Then you could read another book I wrote called Dre Philosophy Volume 0. You do all three of those things, you'll be very positive. Today I went to hit the gym. I didn't catch that. School. How do you find focus? Same way that I just said. Same way I just said. Read those 3 books that I just mentioned, and I got some videos on focus. You go to my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/DreUPT, or just type in my name, Dre Baldwin, and type in the word focus. You'll see it. What's the example of something you had to hold back on raw emotion? Well, if somebody says something crazy in the comments on the internet, I mean, nothing I can do. I can't beat them up. Only thing you can do is either respond to it, ignore it, or delete that person, delete them. You can't emotionally react to it. What can you do besides write something back, which is not going to prove anything? Do I ever get distracted? I don't know. Let me think about it. What's up, UK? Shout out to everybody in the UK who's checking in. Good evening. It's nighttime in the UK. Shout out to everybody in the UK watching right now. Everybody in the United States. When you are working on your dream, all things go critically wrong because you are close. Sometimes things will go wrong. I mean, it really depends on what's exactly happening. It goes for so many things. Yes, exactly. It goes for everything. The better you can handle a delayed reaction, the more successful you'll be in life. The study was done. I talked about that last night. If y'all didn't see the scope I did last night, you can still catch it. It's still available. I did a scope last night called Trades, where I talked about that, managing your emotions. How can I perform really well for a long period of time? Well, number one thing you got to do is work on your game, because if you're not good, then you won't be able to perform well for a long period of time. Now, somebody with no game can perform well for a short period of time. We call that luck. But if you actually got game, then it's just your normal self. So you got to have some game. So number one thing, work on your game, because with no game, you can't. You love educated men? Well, that's what's up. Shout out to all the educated men out there and the women who love them. What do you feel more confident in? What do you do to feel more confident in life and basketball? Two things. Number one, watch my TED Talk because it's about confidence. And number two, read my book. It's called The Super You. How's the best way to be confident? In Lakeland? Why does it matter that it's Lakeland? Read my book, The Super You, and watch my TED Talk. Is about confidence. My favorite author, myself. Number two, Robert Greene. How do you deal with horrible bosses? Well, you can watch the movie Horrible Bosses, did what they did. You can go get a new boss. You can start your own business and you could be the boss. Where can I find TED Talk? Go to DreAllDay.com. DreAllDay.com. My TED Talk is right there on the page. How do you not give up when you are exhausted emotionally and mentally? By exactly what you said. Just don't give up. Just don't give up. How about that Michigan State loss? Yeah, I heard about that. How do you become a TED Talk speaker? You got to be able to sell yourself. Selling yourself is the number one skill to get chosen TED Talk. There's a lot of them available, so many that happen. You just got to be able to sell yourself to get chosen for the event. What's the best way to be confident in your game? Number one, have game. Because if you ain't got no game, you don't have a reason to be confident. So you got to have game first. So work on your game. That's the number one thing you got to do. If any of you have more detailed questions, you want to be coached. Listen, I coach people on the topics that I talk about. I coach and consult people on these topics. So if what I'm answering here is good, but you need a little bit more detailed information, then you should read my books. If you want a little bit more detail, then you probably need to get me to be your coach. I'm going to do some group coaching. And also I do individual coaching, but I'm going to offer group coaching because I know some people would rather, maybe do it in a group because it's easier on them cost-wise. Send me an email. Actually, go to DreAllDay.com/coach. That's where you go. DreAllDay.com/coach. That's where you can get it. And I'm a writer. Yes, I'm an author. Author of 7 books, writer of 4,000 blog posts. All right, well, go to that link that I just said, DreAllDay.com/coach. That's where you can sign up for coaching. That will be, I'm going to do some group coaching and individual coaching based on any individuals. Any advice or steps for waking up early at 4:30 a.m.? Number one piece of advice, set your alarm for 4:30 a.m. and when it goes off, get up. Work on your game. Dre all day. Make sure you follow me on social media, Snapchat. You see it right there. The code's going to come up. Dre Baldwin. My Instagram is the same name, at Dre Baldwin. My Twitter and my Periscope, both at Dre All Day. Y'all know my website, DreAllDay.com. Any business inquiries, hit me via email, Dre@DreAllDay.com, or you can just send me a snap. Work on your game. Dre All Day.